Pleasure to welcome this morning's speaker, our very own Rob. Rob comes to us from Hawkshaven,
Yes.
right? Which, as I understand it, is a sustainable space.
Yeah, we're creating a sustainable homestead based on permaculture and natural principles of symbiosis.
Right. And he lives there with Katie. We welcome you today as well. Rob, I'm going to let you share as much of your story as you want, but I will share with you that each time I speak with Rob, he touches my soul with a young wisdom and wiseness, and he really gets me thinking about body and soul and mind. And he was helping me one day even understand that as I just stand, I can flex my muscles or move my mind in new ways.
Always opportunities of growth.
So, can you spare some change?
So an open-minded person can, with logic, change perspective, and with courage, initiate change in their life. So the essence of our physical experience is based on change. To grow, we must accept it. If it's ever happening to us, we're being resistant to the change. But when it's happening for us, we're embracing it and we're recognizing the growth potential and everything that happens to us, and we can move forward. Nature naturally changes. Every day you look outside, the clouds that we see right now are going to be gone. And if we try to hold on to them, that would be unnatural. Just like when we go to the ocean, if we're sitting watching the waves, and we try it, we're like, you know what, that's a beautiful one, I want to hold on to that. It throws a whole schism into the whole universe. Everything, the birds may stop flying, fall out of the sky. But when we allow nature to work naturally, it's bringing us new experiences each time that allow us to appreciate the past, but grow into the future and anticipate all the new things that are going to come to us. Life is always changing, but are we? If we're holding on to the past, our resistance to change, it can almost form like a toxicity in us, a sadness, a depression, a boredom, a stagnation. But when we embrace that change, we're going to be able to slow down to keep up. And we do that through a simple process of meditation. And we've been taught about 1-minute meditations or 20-minute meditations, but I'm going to bring to you a 1-second meditation because everybody has time for a 1-second meditation. A monk taught me this, and he was happy, and so I said, hey, you might listen to this guy. He seems to know something. The 1-second meditation is just recognizing when we leave our centered position of being happy and content and growing in our life, something happens to us. We need to recognize that I can only control one thing. It's me. And I can only control me right now. And the two things that I can control about me are my physical action, and the easiest one to control is my breath. And we can control a thing in our mind, just only our thought, and that's only our thought right now. Because if we think about our thoughts in the past, it might bring depression. Or if we think about what could happen in the future, it brings anxiety. But when we focus on the now, it brings bliss, or whatever we choose to bring into our life. And if I can choose one thing, I would like to keep it joyful. I would like to keep it just peaceful, because everything else is kind of degrading our experience. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to teach that 1-second meditation, and simply what I do is when I feel that I've left center, I breathe in through my nose and I fill up my belly first. Normally, sometimes we're breathing in the top section of our diaphragm, but if we can move that breath to the bottom, it's helping to fully oxygenate our bodies, and it's helping to control the one thing about our physical being that we can control at any point in time. While you're doing that shift of breath, you're consciously thinking, what am I thankful for? What am I grateful for? And at the minimum, I woke up today. I was given an opportunity to speak here at Unity. There are a lot of people who didn't get the opportunity to wake up today. Their experience in this physical realm is over. They've continued in the spirit, And although that is a natural transition as well, it's every bit as natural as being born. You know, we are given opportunity to bring forth into this physical environment the changes that we want to make. And if we do that consciously, we're going to be building a life that we enjoy. So sometimes our ego, or our personality, our way of being with other people, has been shaped by our environment. And, you know, perhaps sometimes when we look at ourselves, we see our parents a little bit in us, because we spend a lot of time being shaped in their environment, which for some it works great. Others, sometimes we learn what we can step away from, or we can initiate change into our life that's going to make it a more pleasurable experience for ourselves and the people we come in contact with. So I have a hand exercise that I would like to share with you all, and it's an example of how our ego or our individual identification characteristics. So if I could ask everybody to alternately weave your fingers back, join your hands, and then pull them apart and join them again. And this time, pay attention to what thumb is on top. So for me, it's my left thumb. This time, although the way we place our hands has a little effect on our being. We're human beings, and so we're being one way because of an ego impression. This time, I'd like you to do the opposite. So bring the opposite thumb to the top and bring it together. And it's gonna, you might even mess up the first time or two. It's odd because it's not our normal way of being. But we can change that. And with practice and consistency, we can, if we wanted to change that aspect of our lives with practice and consistency, we could do that. And that's how we reshape our ego consciously, instead of allowing our environment to have shaped it unconsciously. We're always receiving data, but if we're not consciously recognizing how we'd like to use that data, it can work against us. So, accepting that all change is happening for you is growth. But if it's happening to you, you can feel defeated. And so, we look to nature. Whenever things get chaotic, chaos can be a great thing because it's opportunity in all directions. But nature demonstrates that, and it balances itself. It's symbiotic. If humans weren't on this planet, everything would be just fine. And when humans are acting consciously, everything is just fine. But when we are more stuck in a process of consumption and separation, there are things like what happened in San Antonio, Texas. And there are things that happen that cause tears and hurt and harm all over the world. So nature, so we talked about the ocean, we talked about clouds, the river, it comes and goes, just like life. If we try to hold on to one thing, flooding happens. People lose their homes. But when we embrace that flow of the river, we're experiencing life in its natural form. Seeds and plants, they also show us how to naturally symbiotically live in our existence. So a seed, as it's growing from a mother plant, it's dependent upon that mother until one day the wind blows and the season has come to the right time, and that seed is released into this new environment, this new existence that it never knew it could thrive in. And where it lands, it doesn't even know. It's like when we're thrown out of the house when you turn 18, or when you've stepped into a new experience in your life. The seed trusts, though. And it trusts that when it finds its spot, even if it gets cold, even if it gets hot, it's always going to be taken care of. And when it starts to recognize that through all of this action is happening, it can find its roots wherever it goes. Sometimes they even find their roots right in your sidewalk or in the road. We find it maybe in an undesirable place. They don't care. They've been given an opportunity at life, and they're going to show us how to thrive, no matter where what we've been dealt. So, The seed. The seed is a product of the dirt, just like we are. You know, we were made from the clay. We eat plants that eat the dirt. They eat the filth. They turn filth into life. And then we consume the plants, and we're turning that plant or the animal that's consumed the plant into our bodies. And we're taking these products of the earth and we're forming this vessel that we're able to walk around and we're able to communicate this physical experience. It's our individual elemental expression from source. We're taking those elements. You know, the earth is my body. The water is my blood. Fire is my spirit. So, naturally embracing change allows us to live in peace. And we do that by living in the now. You know, the now is the only thing we control. But the good thing about that is, it's always happening. It's always a constant state of now. So if we focus on the now, we won't have to only rest in peace. We can live in peace. When we take that from ourselves and we push it into our environment, we're the image, not the reflection. And having more images, individual images. I mean, it would be a very boring place if everybody looked just like me and had the exact same thoughts and the same ideas, because, well, I would have nobody to talk to. It'd be a nightmare, actually. I mean, to look out and see just a bunch of we're all a reflection of each other, but it's an individual representation of that reflection of God. You know, God, I spent almost a decade in the military, and you learn a lot of acronyms. I've kind of assumed, or I've kind of taken that God is an acronym for growth, oneness, and divinity. And all the time that we're working towards growth, oneness, and divinity, we're working with God. If we recognize the polarity of God as Satan, I found an acronym for that as well. Seeing anything as negative. And it's, again, is it happening to you or is it happening for you? And when it happens for us, we're able to take that lesson and we're able to grow, and we're able to share it, and we're able to enlighten other people to their paths. And when we can teach them this meditation, we can teach them the power of now, we are shaping our world. And we're all doing it. But are we doing it consciously? Are we doing it unconsciously by what's been imprinted in our environment? So, thank you very much for this opportunity to speak. Do you have any questions?
So why don't you tell us about Hawks Haven? Yeah.
Hawks Haven is, I feel that Hawks Haven is my ark. I spent 9 years owning my own plumbing business, and my 40th birthday came after 5 years after I had gone into the hospital and had an experience that awakened me to presence beyond the material, the physical world. I asked what my goal is, what my pathway in life is, and I believe it's to help people find independence. It's help them to find freedom in themselves. You know, independent, but working voluntarily with others. And when we work together, amazing things can be accomplished. So about Hawks Haven as being my ark is we're building a less than desirable 25-acre parcel into a permaculture-based homestead that absorbs water instead of sheds it. We have like an ad on Craigslist that we accept lawn waste and branches, stuff like that. We're using principles like hugelkultur, and that's the burying of organic matter across hillsides in trenches. So we're able to catch all the water that's falling across the hillside. We're working to eliminate flooding, erosion, famine, because we're growing food on land that wasn't productive before. We're able to create resources for building like tiny houses. We're making it a recyclable, like a recycled mecca. You know, we have tires that we're using to create earth ships, and we're using recycled materials, and we've saved over 5,000 glass bottles. We'll be building walls of greenhouses out of all recycled material. But other people that have showed how to do these things, you know, all these mentors that I've been following from around the world, We're bringing those ideas into one place. And we're recognizing that when we step into independence, we all thrive. We're working on alternative fuels like hydrogen. We're extracting that from water. We're working on methane generation, which is just from our human waste. And we can be making combustible gases locally. Whenever we do things locally, we're going to have efficiency, and we're going to have accountability, and we always have a source when we do everything locally. And so that's what we're doing. We're trying to teach people how to live without perpetual debt, because without perpetual debt, you have more time for yourself. And that's my goal, is to help people break free of the chains of a perpetual debt and having to pay to exist. We're the only animals on the planet that pay to exist. And it's great that we have society that we've cumulatively built, but it would also be nice, and I think we can do all of it without force, fraud, or coercion. We can just, good ideas are voluntarily assimilated to peacefully. If I just have a good idea and you guys say, you know what, I like that idea, and you want to help support that idea, that's how great things happen. So, yes, sir.
Could you say something about the communication process that you use to work together as you do this?
Well, I have several Facebook pages that we are working with, sharing our information. We Tribe, we is welcoming everyone, and that's basically talking about the solutions to the problems we face in society. A unity phrase that I learned a few years ago. Where our intention goes, energy flows. And that's what we think about, we bring about. So if we focus on the problems, we're going to get more problems. But if we focus on solutions, we find solutions to the problems, and we're working towards those consciously. We have another one called You of You at Hawks Haven. And that's about the personal growth. How we individually can thrive in our own self without the dependency on other people. I don't need anybody to love me. I love myself. Once we love ourselves, we don't have any expectations of other people, but we're appreciative of whatever they share with us. There's nothing that I can expect from anyone, because the only thing I control is me, and I can only do it right now. So we have to forgive. We have to forget. Well, we don't have to forget about things, but it's best to forgive, and it's best to move forward, and it's best to recognize that if somebody hasn't been who we thought they should be in our lives, it's okay. Maybe they're having a bad day. We shouldn't hold it. Yes?
Tell us about your animals and their part in this plan.
Great. We have goats and chickens and guinea pigs, and we have dogs and cats. And puppies. We have 6 puppies. They're beautiful, and they are really full of energy. The goats and chickens, they help us make dirt into soil. We're giving them compostable waste and the branches and the yard waste that comes in, and then they get into the trenches and they take it in one end and they put it out the other, and so they're helping us to really create some good solid. We call them it's like an organic water battery. Once it holds onto that the moisture that comes off the land, it'll hold it for months and release it slowly. So that slow decomposition of the organic matter feeds the land around it. And we'll be planting fruit trees and stuff along these berms, we're terracing the property. And these models have been used all over the world. Many of these models that we're duplicating have, in less than 1 decade, they had many people working on it, but in less than 1 decade, they've taken hillsides that look like the hillsides on Yakima Ridge. They've completely reforested them, and they've been able to recharge the aquifers to a point that natural springs start flowing again. Things that haven't flowed for hundreds or maybe even thousands of years. We're witnessing a product of erosion of roughly 13,000 years ago when the floods came through this valley. We've been in a process of survival. Everybody's just trying to make their own way. There's still struggle, but when we can step away from that struggle, we can all work towards the solutions. And the solutions that have already been implemented and proven, we can do them ourselves. Monkey see, monkey do. I have no rule. I don't have college education. I've learned everything from. I'd rather learn from the universe than a university. And I spent a lot of time in nature, and nature has taught me more than any man has ever taught me. At least about peace and how to hold myself.
So do you think your ministry to the land has had an adverse impact on your ministry to the homeless people? I know at one time you were really involved in that, and you took them.
Actually, I'm still involved with the homeless, and we're actually going to be working with Rod's House. There are a couple of youth that are interested in building tiny houses, and so with all the recycled materials that I've collected, we're going to be able to help them build tiny houses. And like a tiny house is a great step towards independence. Shelter, I don't think should cost us 40 or 50 hours 40 to 50 hours a month of our energy just to provide shelter. I mean, an animal digs a hole in the ground and they're happy for their entire existence because they live out of their home. They don't necessarily live in their homes. They use it for the shelter, they use it for the seclusion, but then they're out there and they're enjoying life. But yes, I volunteer 1 day a week with Rod's House, and so we are helping communicate with the homeless still and the at-risk teens. And we actually have it's the Sunset Over Sela Labyrinth Creation Party that we're doing on the 29th of this month. And what it is, labyrinths are an amazing tool for realization of life path, and how, if we do come to a dead end, we have to realize that possibly it was too dangerous to continue, or it just wasn't going to be for our highest growth. So we recognize, okay, we can turn around and we can go back to the last section that we felt comfortable and we felt happy, and we can go back there and we can make a different choice. We can recognize that was an opportunity of growth, and we're still here. So we have that opportunity to move forward and take different choices. And like our labyrinth, you'll actually be reaching the top before you reach your center. And in my business, I was doing well. I was making a lot of money, but it wasn't making me happy. It was making me stressed. And that was the reason I ended up in the hospital. I nearly bled to death from stress. And the few moments of an experience that I had, it changed my whole idea about life. It removed my connection to having these things in the material as mine. They are like this body. We've taken it from the dirt, and it will return that way. It's something I've used, but it's not me. The apple I've eaten, it's mine, but it's not me. Even after I've eaten it, it's become part of my body. It's mine, but it's not me. So, thank you.